If you want to further continue your studies after finishing your bachelor's, then either you can go for a field-specific master's, an MBA, or a generalized management program, commonly known as Masters in Management. But how do you know which one is best suited for you? Well, that's what we'll try to discuss today. Let's start by shortly describing each program, starting with a field-specific master's. As its name suggests, it could be a master's in political science, engineering, law, or absolutely anything, depending on whatever you studied during your bachelor's. Then we have MBA. Here, I assume everyone understands what MBA means, but just to reiterate, this program is for experienced candidates who usually understand what B in business stands for. These candidates can have little experience in general business areas, and they could do MBA either to specialize in one of them or to just change their working industries. At last, we have MIMs. They can be commonly known as Masters in Management, Masters in General Management, or Postgraduate Diploma in Management, depending on the country you are trying to pursue it from. Here, you can expect to learn everything that you usually learn from MBA, but only on textbook level. Because the students who apply for MIMs lack the necessary work experience to understand management on practical level. Or to put it simply, they just don't understand what B in business stands for. Now let's try to compare this program side by side, starting with general eligibility criteria. For a field-specific master's, if you have done bachelor's of any sort, then you can join this program. Except for bachelor's in business administration, because we have MBAs for that. Now, speaking of MBAs, if you have some work experience in managing any of the business areas, then you can also join for MBA. But I would say this eligibility criteria really varies from universities to university. At last, we have Masters in Management or MIM. I also graduated with a general management degree pretty recently, and I had classmates who studied architecture, literature, law, psychology, and many other diverse backgrounds. So basically, if you have done bachelor studies of any sort, essentially you are eligible to pursue MIM. And now that eligibility criteria is clear, let's also talk about what kind of common jobs you can expect to have after finishing your studies. Here, field-specific masters is a very broad subject to pinpoint first common jobs that you can expect to have, but I would say it definitely does open the door for you to enter into academia. I've seen some of my friends who went for pursuing a specific technical masters. They also went for pursuing PhDs in their respective subjects. So I would say the first common job to have after a field-specific masters could be a PhD or academia. For MBA though, it's very difficult to again say what are the common jobs to expect, because usually there are candidates with previous work experience that prefer to go back to their industries and work on higher positions, or there are other candidates who simply use MBA to change their industries. So I would say for MBA, it really depends. For MIM, as it's a general master's, you can go anywhere you want. But I would say the most common jobs I've seen MIM graduates get is rotational graduate traineeship. So basically here, you will be working in different business areas on rotational basis. Also, if you are looking for work in the region where small to medium businesses are on the rise, then you can also expect to have sales positions much more common for MIM graduates. After discussing this, you might still have some doubts regarding who should go for which program. If that's the case, let me try presenting some of my personal opinions, of course, supported with valid arguments gathered from my experience and my research. For a field-specific master's, the obvious answer is anyone who's passionate about the subject should go for it. But I'll also argue that if you're looking for a trending career, then also it could be a good opportunity for you. For example, let's just say that if you're working for a year or two with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and then you suddenly see that data science is on boom, and you also had some interaction with the subject indirectly, or at least had some familiarity with it, then you should definitely go for a master's in data analytics or any field if that's where you see the potential growth opportunities are. Now, let's say if you're already working for a few years, but you don't really want to continue working in the same industry or in the same position, then MBA is something that you should really think about. As mentioned earlier, people either do it to switch industries or to grow on a managerial position, provided that they have sufficient work experience. Ideally, if you have less than 3 years of work experience, then you should go for MIM instead of MBA, because MBAs could be really expensive. Technically, MIM is for someone who wants to build a startup in the future or manage their family business, but just don't have enough experience or knowledge in it. But also, if you are in a confused state of mind, like you really want to study something but don't know what, then MIM could be a safe bet. Because here you can still use your previous technical or field-specific expertise and learn more about the business. I would argue that MIM could be marketed as MBA for people with no work experience. But before making a solid decision, you have to be aware about the possible risks. And there are some risks associated with making this study related decision. So what are those? I wouldn't say that there is a clear risk when it comes to choosing between a field specific master's and an MBA, because when it comes to career growth, ultimately you will end up managing a team at some point of time. Then you might think like doing MBA is a good option. But I also believe that without being a subject matter expert, you cannot be a good manager. For example, during MBA, you might learn different strategies for project management. But if you really have not worked in software development, then it could be very difficult for you to foresee a budget or to design a product roadmap. Plus, there are different project management strategies for a software development project and, for example, a construction project. So I would say you really need to have a subject-specific knowledge to do better at management positions. So the clear risk here is missing on the timing to make the correct decision. The biggest risk in case of MIM is it's a generalized master's where you have to navigate yourself identifying what you want to specialize in by the end of the program. In case if you do not have any previous experience, plus you couldn't find anything to specialize in, then it could be a bit difficult for your potential employer to trust you for the first job. If you want to minimize that risk, then I would suggest start building your CV with something tangible to show through some certifications, traineeships, or some personal projects. If not, then you still have to build a strong network anyways. I hope I added something useful for you to make a better decision. And as I said it before, when it comes to business, networking is the key. And if you want to connect with me, do subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comment section, and let me know what you want to learn more. Till then, thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next one.